Hi, I'm Nina Miller. I am a trustee of the Darien Land Trust, and I also teach here at the Darien Nature Center and have done so for quite a few years, happily so.
And I'm Ed Cosden. I'm a former board member of the Land Trust going back into the 1980s and 1990s, and a past president. I was on the Land Trust board at the time the Nature Center acquired this property. It was originally donated by Mrs. McGregor to the Darien Nature Center, and they needed to raise some capital. I think they went initially to the town and tried to get the town to purchase it, but the town was not in favor of it. I do recall that there was a big issue with respect to dedicated property. I think when the town acquired this property in the early 1970s, it was not actually dedicated to open space. And many of the people, I think, on the RTM were very concerned that at some point the town could sell it off and it could be developed. And so that became a tangential issue with the Land Trust. And I think why the Land Trust was approached then to buy the property from the Nature Center, because it would then be permanently preserved. Mrs. McGregor owned several acres on Meadowbrook. She subdivided it, and as a part of that subdivision, she carved off, I think it was 3 to 3.5 acres.
Very cool. That's great.
And in 1983, I believe she transferred 2 lots to a Mr. Bothwell, who was a developer. And he developed those 2 lots, and then several months later, I think it was in October, she gave the Nature Center the 3.5 lots that were open space. That acreage had on it a fair amount of wetlands, and so some of the discussions at the Land Trust at the time as to whether or not we should acquire it and spend money on it related to the fact that it probably couldn't be developed if it had wetlands on it. That was a discussion we had on a number of properties. But ultimately, the board decided that it was in the best interest of the town and the Land Trust to acquire it. And we made a deal with the Nature Center to buy it in installments by putting up a certain amount of money first and then paying the balance over a period of time. One of the things that we were concerned about was in a number of our properties, people use it as a dumping ground. And so that was one concern we had. I don't know that that's ever become a problem.
No. They dump their kids here. No, just kidding. But,
and they have a good time too, right?
And they have a good time, yes.
So anyway, I remember meeting with Max McCreary was involved, Bob Harrell, Lynn Hamlin. I remember meeting with her initially about creating the trail system on our piece, and I guess it's been vastly expanded since that period of time.
It's well used, for sure.
Yeah. So it's a wonderful facility.
Well, it sure is better than what we had. That's white cinder block building over on the other side of the park that was used. The top floor was used by the high school athletic for storage of high school athletic equipment, and the bottom floor was the Nature Center. We didn't even have bathrooms in our area. We had to go across the hall, and we had a teeny tiny little kitchen. You can just imagine what it was like when it was Cherry Lawn School. And incidentally, it's interesting that I've been hooked up with a guy who lives in Virginia now, who went to Cherry Lawn School. I've been trying to contact him for information about this, about our getting together today, but it's been off and on. We just haven't connected yet, but that was kind of fun. It's kind of fun to know that, yeah. It's a perfect place for nature school. It is just, we have these woods. We have a river running through. We have a pond. We have a field. We have the community gardens next door. We can walk over there and look at the bees and the birds and the butterflies and the flowers and the colors. And folks, planting their plants and harvesting their crop. It's just you get everything. You even get the parking lot, because in the parking lot and the sidewalks, you see how nature struggles to live. you get the little plants coming up through a crack in the parking lot. Run over a million times, stampeded a million times. It survives. Nature's amazing.
My son sent me a trailer for an Apple TV thing, and it all had to do with the fact of COVID last year and the fact that nobody was doing anything and how nature came back big time. It was unbelievable.
Yeah. Very, very resilient.
Yeah.
Nature is.
Yeah.
I mean, just look around. These trees, look at that tree. We're trying to figure out when that tree will finally give up its post there. It's we call it the leaning tree. Not the learning tree, but the leaning tree. We have a good time here. The kids enjoy it, and it's all the outdoor classrooms now. Everything's outdoors, even in rain and snow, lightning and heavy wind will send us inside, but everything's outside now.
Really?
All the
Yeah,
classes.
that's
It's
great.
really terrific.
I was just telling her that my daughter lives in Alaska, and
Whereabouts?
Juneau,
Okay.
which is very wet.
Yes.
And my granddaughter is 6 years old and in kindergarten, and they go out in all kinds of weather as
Yeah.
well.
Yes. Oh,
Yeah.
wonderful! I've got my son and his wife and 2 kids are out in Seattle.
Yeah, okay.
What?
One other aside is that Mrs. McGregor, I went to Royal School, and I
I did
believe.
too.
Did you?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I believe Mrs. McGregor had a daughter named Jeannie who might have been in my class.
Cool. Yeah. I grew up on Peach Hill.
Did you?
And
Okay.
you grew up just down the road here.
Yeah.
On Meadowbrook? You grew up on Meadowbrook?
No, I grew up on Point of Woods.
Oh, Point of Woods. Okay, great.
Yeah, I used
That's a
to
wonderful
skate on the pond over here in the 1950s.
Exactly. I've seen boats on the pond. We used to catch eels in the pond and bring them into the
Oh, yeah.
nature center in little 10-gallon fish tanks. I've seen raccoons climbing trees in these woods.
Well, somebody sent a photo the other day of one.
Yes, that was me.
That was you. That was a great photo,
That's
too.
a sweet little thing. We have deer. We have eagles. We see eagles circle around. We have.
Probably hawks, right?
They could be hawks. They're also hawks. There are hawks. Yes. No. Emily came rushing in and said, "There's an eagle outside. There's an eagle outside." I mean, there's food here for all the animals, critters. There's nesting places and hiding places, and it's just a terrific spot for nature and for kids too. So we're lucky to be here. Lucky to have this spot.
Well, it's a great thing that the Land Trust was able to do that back then because we didn't have a lot of money. I think the only big acquisition since then was the one up on the corner of what's the name of the street?
Mather Homes?
Mather
Homestead.
Meadows, yeah.
Mather Meadows, yeah.
Yeah.
Darien Land Trust,
Yeah.
yeah, that's a terrific place.
And that was a big deal.
Yeah.